All across college sports, one topic has generated a lot of controversy and buzz throughout the last couple of years, the transfer portal. But what exactly is the transfer portal? How does it work? What are the effects on not just the players, but also the programs as well as collegiate sports in general? And how will it continue to evolve in the future? The transfer portal is essentially a website that lists the information on all the athletes that are available for programs to pick up. It was created in 2018 to allow for an easier way for college athletes to switch teams. However, the transfer portal has changed significantly in just 6 years. When it was initially created, when athletes transferred to a school, they lost a year of eligibility, meaning they had to sit out an entire season. Then in 2021, the NCAA said that all players could transfer one time with no penalties, but if they transferred again, they would have to sit out a year. The transfer portal that functions today was established in 2024, allowing for all players to be able to transfer to an infinite number of schools without losing any eligibility. When an athlete decides to transfer, they first must contact their school's compliance officer, who then makes sure that the student has the proper grades and is in good standing with the university in terms of paying tuition and fees. Then they fill out the transfer form and make sure the athlete has an NCAA ID, which is how they log into the portal. The athlete then has to watch an hour-long video explaining that they are entering the portal and that schools can contact them. Once they have decided to enter the portal, the school must release the athlete's information onto the website within 48 hours. Once in the portal, coaches are able to reach out to them and they are recruited just like high school all over again. There are many different reasons for why players might want to transfer. Maybe they want more playing time and stability, like wide receiver Dylan Rhodes, who redshirted his freshman year at Texas State University.
Mostly more playing time because I'm still considered young for college football and want to be somewhere where I can play and show what I can do early. Another thing was to be on scholarship and get my school paid for, and I just didn't see that happening as soon as I wanted at Texas State, so I decided to go somewhere where that could happen.
Or they might transfer because they want an environment with better resources and services, like point guard Austin Nunez. Austin had a great freshman season at Arizona State University and was one of the few freshmen with quality playing time. He even took home the Pac-12 Newcomer of the Week award in December of 2022. Most people would assume he would have stayed, but he had to do what was best for him.
The long-term goal for me was just never going to be met. Came into college at 155 pounds, and you can't play at that weight at a professional level, at not even past your freshman year. I don't even know how I played at that weight. This place was just lacking resources. There was just a point where my parents felt I was never going to reach my goal of weight. I also got a concussion my freshman year that, the trainer at the time, he's not here now, but he didn't handle it right. I got a concussion in February, and so I missed the last 7 games because they had never gave me a physical. I was never able to come back the rest of the season because you don't have a physical. Obviously, you're not even supposed to be playing, and I was playing the whole season without one, so that was illegal. My parents just felt like they didn't go right about it, and we had to part ways.
One of the main reasons for so many athletes transferring in the changing landscape of college sports is because of NIL. NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. In 2021, due to a Supreme Court ruling, the NCAA allowed for players to make money off of their NIL. This was a huge deal because for the entirety of college sports, players and programs caught taking money from businesses or boosters were stripped of their eligibility and got their awards and records taken back. For example, in the 2000s, the Michigan Wolverines were banned from playing in the postseason for 2 years and had to remove their banners marking their trips to the Final Four from the 90s due to the fact that former players, including members of the Fab Five like Chris Webber, had received money from boosters. The NCAA always said athletes shouldn't be paid because they're amateurs and their compensation for their talents is getting a free education. The backlash surrounding this point of view is the fact that these schools make millions of dollars off of these players, and many of them come from underprivileged backgrounds and are helping to support their families. Now with NIL, top college athletes can sign deals with well-known brands like Nike. Even lesser-known players have NIL deals with smaller brands.
Then there's other brands that can pick certain players to be an ambassador for their company, and I've done a couple of those. Cowboy Revolution is one of mine. It's like a Western apparel company, and they make great hats, t-shirts, hoodies, different things like that. And then Fluxer is another one of mine that they do more jersey related and hoodies with your number and name and team on there.
With the passage of NIL, most schools, especially the larger ones in the SEC, have donors and alumni who donate money that is meant only to give to the athletes that play for that particular school.
At Ole Miss, they did it pretty NBA-ish, so every month you just got paid. I didn't go talk to anyone. I didn't do anything. It was just me being a collegiate basketball player, me showing up to practice practice, me doing what I'm supposed to do is basically getting me paid.
NIL combined with the transfer portal has caused what some are describing as an era of unbalanced competition. Using the transfer portal, major programs like LSU are able to entice players by offering them large amounts of money, sometimes into the millions, to transfer to their school, which means that smaller schools with not as many resources are less likely to get good players, leading to the rise of power conference domination in college football. And for the first time ever this year, the Sweet 16 is made up of all Power 5 schools. There are many benefits to the transfer portal. One of the more obvious benefits is that players now have more freedom than ever before. They are now able to go to programs that align with their values and are able to make sure they get what they want when it comes to their experience.
Recently committed to Northwestern State University in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Really just the honesty of everyone here is what I loved.
Me coming back, I was never like, oh, I want this amount of money. I want this, I want this. I just wanted to play because I didn't play this past year. My freshman year got cut short. So I'm just hungry to just be out there. Like, I don't care if I walk around and wear Skechers in the game. Like, I just want to play. Just coming here, I was just desperate of an opportunity to come back and just play meaningful basketball for a coach that already believed in me, that didn't question how big I was, question if I was strong enough, question like he liked my game exactly the way it was. At this point, I've just embraced being back here. I got hurt this year. Obviously, it wasn't what I wanted, but just happy that I'm recovering from my injury. People will eventually see the complete player that I am once I just get that opportunity.
Now, when you combine NIL with the portal, you have a world in which you could potentially create a living for yourself and really have a nice windfall for yourself as a college athlete, whether or not you get to the NBA or the NFL or wherever it might be, because you can go in the portal and you start at one school, you have a strong year. You go to the portal, and one of two things will happen. You might have another school being willing to give you a better opportunity, or sometimes your current school says, "Hey, we really don't want to lose you. Can we up your NIL offer?" And then they withdraw from the portal and they stay.
A benefit for the programs is that now they can quickly improve their teams. In Deion Sanders' first year of coaching at Colorado, he attracted 53 transfers, and this past season he added another 39. This was significant because it was expected that it would take him around 5 years to rebuild the program. However, by the 24-25 season, his second with the team, they made it all the way to a bowl game, and he helped produce Heisman winner Travis Hunter. Like with everything, there are some negative effects due to the transfer portal and NIL. Even though the transfer portal is supposed to make switching teams easier, it can still be a stressful process for athletes.
Kind of takes a toll on you mentally too, because there's a lot of uncertainty. The biggest thing for me was just trusting that God has a plan and he's going to take care of you.
A major controversy over the transfer portal is about when it opens. The winter transfer portal window for football starts in early December and goes to the end of the month. The problem is this is the most important time of the season, when teams are in bowl games and the lucky few make it to the college football playoffs. As of right now, there is no rule stopping players on teams in the postseason from not transferring, which means quite a few teams lose key players and have to then focus on using the portal themselves to fill their roster back up. The same thing happens in college basketball. The spring transfer portal window starts in late March and ends in late April. This is right in the middle of March Madness, with players having to decide whether to put themselves first or their teams first. For example, Justin Pippen entered the transfer portal even though Michigan made it to the Sweet 16, so now they have a hole in their roster. The way college sports operates is completely different than how it was even just 10, 15 years ago.
And so for the school, it's probably a huge pain because you constantly have to recruit your roster. You don't know who could jump in the portal at any time. You have no assurances everybody is there from year to year. We're in this weird point with college sports where the players are getting compensated, which I think is long overdue because of the amount of revenue they generated. But, athletes in the pros are making millions of dollars have a contract. And you're locked in for a while. And teams can at least say, okay, well, we're paying this much money, but we know this person will be here. That's not the case in college sports right now. I think maybe we'll get to that point. But for now, it creates a situation where at any given moment, you could just lose somebody off your roster to another school who's willing to outbid you. And sometimes you don't even know what's coming. So it's a very chaotic environment. You see coaches that don't want to deal with it as much. Tony Bennett's a really prominent college basketball coach who won a national title with Virginia. He retired young. And I think part of why that was he didn't want to deal with his environment. He wanted to coach. Nick Saban mentioned that the portal changed, his decision calculus for retiring sooner. That's the best college football coach in history. So it's definitely changing the coaching profession. It's definitely changing things in school. And I think they would probably argue not for the better.
It all comes down to this prevalent feeling among coaches, former athletes, and fans that the players aren't here for the right reasons. Players used to stay at one school for all 4 years or until they went pro. But now it's not unheard of for a player to move from school to school. Lots of them go in asking for certain amounts of money or come in expecting to start immediately and score a lot instead of following the coach's system and being a team player. With this huge turnover in rosters from season to season, it can cause some difficulties between teammates.
Everyone was a transfer, not one person attended the school the year before. Everyone's all hostile because we don't know each other. And in basketball, there's not 11 positions for us to play. There's 5. So everyone is fighting for the same minutes. Everyone's trying to show that they deserve to start. Everyone's trying to show they deserve to play. College basketball in the summer, you're really not teammates the first 3 weeks. You're all enemies. You're all fighting for the same thing.
With more money than ever before in college sports enticing athletes to transfer to top schools, it is causing what some are deeming a major lack of competition. An athlete is more likely to transfer to a big program like Ohio State or University of North Carolina because they have tons of donors who will give money towards NIL, which means these schools are accused of buying players to create unbeatable teams. This funnel of money is even changing conferences in the NCAA. The Pac-12 is virtually non-existent, while Texas and OU left the Big 12 for the SEC. This has caused competition to be dominated by 3 conferences, the SEC, the Big 10, and the ACC, leading to the same 10 or so teams winning everything every year. Most people can agree that these problems need to be fixed, but figuring out how to solve them is more complicated.
I think, we can't paint with too broad of a brush, right? There are kids who do want to go to a certain school and they stick around and they want to just be at that school. And there are kids who go and create better opportunities for themselves with that. And that's great. If the system lets them do it, then sure. I think the balance you have to strike is how do you do something that is good for the athletes and fair for the kids who are making money for these schools, but also make a viable consumer product? Because college sports work essentially because of sentiment. It's this idea that I'm seeing someone, I love my school. I went to my school. That's very different than me rooting for the Dallas Cowboys because I'm not a Dallas Cowboy. But, in my case, I went to the University of Southern California. So I went to USC. I root for USC. And, certainly when I would see players at USC, it's easier to get attached to them because it's, oh, well, they stayed in the dorms that I stayed in. They walked the campus that I walked, that campus. They're in school like me and they love this place like me. And so you're rooting almost in a more intimate way. And same deal for rivalries, right? It's such a regional sport traditionally before all the conference realignment. And so, it created something that felt, you have, USC would play UCLA. There'd be a victory bell on the line, a silly little trophy, but that matters, stuff like that. If you don't have that sentiment and if you don't have this belief that these guys are playing for the same thing that you love, then all you really have is just a minor league product. And then at that point, it's not, why not just watch the NFL all the time? College sports needs to be able to be different from the NFL. And the way they do that is all by these kind of more emotional, fuzzy attachments and the history that comes with that. But if you live in a world where players are able to kind of go year in, year out and go one school to the next school and the next school, and big programs have 35-40% of the roster is different every year, it's harder for fans to engage. And when your school loses these players, it's harder for schools to engage or for fans to engage. And that's not healthy for the product itself. That's how college sports loses popularity. If people can't emotionally attach to this thing and they say, well, what's the point? This is just the NFL, but the players aren't as good. I'll just watch whatever's happening on Sunday. So that's the balance that I think people need to figure out is how do you get this to where, yeah, the kids should be able to move around because coaches should move around. They should be able to make money, but coaches have contracts too, and they have buyouts, and in the pros, they have contracts. And so maybe there needs to be a little more regulation where, yeah, you can transfer, but you can't transfer every single year or unless a school releases you, just because if you're going to get the money and you're going to make it to where you can make a viable living off this, well, there has to be a push and pull for what helps the product too, so this thing is sustainable for the next generation as well. And I don't know what that line is. I don't think anybody knows what that line is. I just think we're kind of in the midway point, and I think people know that it has to be something different and more evolved than what it is right now. I think it'll look very different in 5-10 years, but how that looks, I don't think anybody knows right now.
The big question is the transfer portal a good thing overall? Well, that depends on who you ask.
I think it's a negative thing just because it gives not only the coaches, but the players an opportunity that if it didn't work out, I can just go and find another job. I kind of feel like it's just been overused because there's so much money now in college basketball. It's like, okay, let's say I know I'm not a professional basketball player, but I know I'm a really good college player. I can go to 4 schools, go get $500,000 from 4 schools and go set my life up. Like, that's great for the kid because there's money going around, but like, what is the point of collegiate sports now? Is it to build fan bases or is it to be a business?
Personally, I don't like the transfer portal, although I did end up using it. It's a funny situation. I think guys that use it and go to different places, it kind of sets back some of the younger groups of players because there's older guys in their position. And once those older guys leave, they be replaced with another older guy. So it kind of hurts the younger generation of players. And that was kind of my position. I was kind of forced into using it, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
The transfer portal will continue to evolve, and only time will reveal its overall impact on collegiate sports.